What is up, guys? The LA Gamer here, and today I am bringing you guys episode 4 of my NBA 2K17 Fantasy Draft franchise. Now, to start this episode, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the scouting that I was doing. So you see right here, I'm just looking at the top 7 prospects. This is kind of my typical draft strategy, just kind of look at all the top prospects, and a lot of these guys have very high overalls. Now, typically the best player in the draft may have a B- overall or so, but this is one of those draft classes that's just loaded with players. 4 or 5 of them are actually B overall, and this guy right here, something Kim, I think it was like Young Lord Kim or something like that. He has actual B+ overall, which could represent a low to mid 80s player, which is very, very high considering that he's going to be a rookie. So in today's episode, we'll be playing the Philadelphia 76ers. I give you guys a quick look at our standings right there. You see we're the best team in the East with a 16-3 record or something like that, some phenomenal record. Here's a look at our player stats, and here's a look at the Philadelphia 76ers player stats, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what they have to work with. So I hope this is some. I actually think this is something I'm going to do a little bit more of in the future. It's kind of show you guys a little bit of the things I'm doing pre-game. The only other thing I wanted to do before this next game gets started is I wanted to kind of work with some of these contracts. So right here, Kyle Korver, going to offer him another year. Now, of course, he's getting a little bit older, but he's a shooter. I mean, when you're a shooter, age doesn't really affect you as much as if you're trying to rely on your athletic ability. And the next step, I actually re-signed, I think it was Will Barton. Or no, it wasn't Will Barton. It was our backup point guard. I forgot who exactly, but we re-signed him as well. And then if you actually look closely at our re-signing menu when I first hop into it, Derrick Rose, along with, I believe, it was Derrick Rose and our 6th man, I think JJ Redick, are both actually skeptical on their decision to re-sign here. They're undecided. That's one of the options. They'll either say like flat out that they want to test free agency, or they'll say undecided, or they'll say that they're willing to resign. So the guys that were willing to resign, obviously I offered them the contract, and they decided to resign. But those two players, both of which are pretty big pieces on my team. They're both starting players, and I would say Derrick Rose is probably the 2nd best player on my team, and just in terms of the impact he has on the game. It's kind of scary knowing that those guys are undecided. So what I want to ask real quick is, if they're undecided, should I take the chance of losing them in free agency under the condition that they may possibly resign? Or do you think it's a better decision for me to possibly package them in a deal and see what I can get for them? Now, I'm not as worried about losing JJ Redick, and the reason for that is if I lose JJ Redick, I could easily put Kyle Korver in place of him because they're very similar players, and they're just kind of the spot-up shooters on my team. And other than that, it was Patty Mills who I re-signed, the other player I re-signed. And then outside of that, Derrick Rose, he's going to be the tougher one to try to fix, but I think that if I traded Kyle Korver and Derrick Rose and I packaged it for a better point guard, maybe like a guy on the 76ers that we're playing right now, Eric Bledsoe possibly, or a player of that caliber, I think that could be a beneficial deal. But I'd only really do that if I wasn't willing to risk them not re-signing with my team, because I do like both of them as players and I don't really have any interest in losing them. But I figure if I might lose them at the end of the year regardless, a trade might have to be considered. So that's where I'm gonna let you guys take a little bit of control and tell me what you guys think is the best decision. So right here, you see they're going to take a little bit of a lead here. Now, this is probably one of the most intense games I've played in 2K this whole entire year. I want to warn you guys of that. So if you have any heart conditions or anything of that nature, you may not want to continue to watch this video because things get a little bit crazy in this one. Now, in previous 2Ks, I kind of had a tendency to just always end up in really close games. I don't know how it happened, but it just always seemed like that was the case, that a really, really close game would come out of it. And in this year's game, I don't know, it hasn't really seemed the case. I feel like I either lose by a lot or I win by a lot. Very rarely is it like a close game, like going down to the wire, but this one just happens to be that way. You see, the funny thing is right here, we actually cash in this 3 with Paul George, and we go up 8 points, and this streak only continues. You see JJ Redick now coming down court, cashed in a 3 of his own. Now we're up by 11 with 54 seconds left in the 2nd quarter. So it looked like at the end of this first half we were really starting to pull away, but you see as the clips continue to go on, our major lead that we had for that short period of time really starts to get cut apart. You see right here, Kawhi Leonard's gonna hit that little mid-range fadeaway, and things like this just continuously keep happening. You see right here, they're gonna pass it over to Kawhi. Now, although you see Kawhi Leonard, you obviously are gonna assume he's the star of the team, so he probably has the biggest impact. The real impactful player on this team for this game was Kelly Olynyk. Now, that sounds really weird for me to say, and it just doesn't feel right. But for some reason, Kelly Olynyk just absolutely slaughtered us this game. Like, you see him more towards the final stretch of the game, but he has like this weird this weird little stretch where he just starts hitting every single shot, and it actually got really frustrating. I was like borderline screaming when I was playing the game, because I was like, dude, there's no way Kelly Olynyk is hitting this many shots. But just one of those things that happens. He actually has pretty good shooting stats, if I'm correct, and they just happen to all utilize at one period of time. But right here, we're up by 6 with 4 minutes left, and we started to pull away a little bit in this fourth quarter. But without this, or it wasn't too much advance, as the 76ers here are going to do whatever they can to prevent us from stretching that lead out much more. And they end up being pretty successful. Right here, we're only up by 4. And regardless of it being a 2-possession lead, it's still not a very comfortable situation. And now with Eric Bledsoe wide open there on the left wing, he's going to cash in a 3 of his own, and now we are only up by 1. Now as clips go on, you'll see minor differences in the score. As right here, we're only up by 2. But that actual lead is going to be destroyed as Kelly Olynyk is going to hit a 3 right here. I did tell you that he's going to start cashing in some shots. So once again, we are up by 2. I don't know if we hit another 3 or something. But guess what? We're no longer up by 2 because Kelly Olynyk once again is going to cash in a 3. Now in this clip, we are up by 1. This clip is a very interesting one. You see right here, 4 seconds left. They are not getting their shot off. I am all up on this guy like white on rice. He's going to throw up this fadeaway. And guess what? Kelly Olynyk gets the rebound. They pass out to Eric Bledsoe, and he hits the 3. So now we are down by 2 with 22 seconds left. But right here, Paul George is back and left. For some reason, they decide to bring in the double team, leaving Derrick Rose open for 3 at the top of the key. You know we are going to take that shot, and we are going to nail it to go up by 1 with 8 seconds left. So they have one more possession to possibly win the game. What are they going to do? You see they have Bledsoe controlling the ball. He's taking it into the paint. You see that, luckily, though, Derrick Rose is fast enough to catch up to prevent him from getting a very good look at the basket. That's one of those shots that had about a 50-50 chance of going in. But luckily, the odds were in our favor, and we were able to walk out here with a 1-point victory. Now, the weird thing about this was, even though this was a really close and like kind of crazy game, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of celebration after we won it. But either way, I was definitely excited. I was definitely celebrating. So if you guys enjoyed, please click that like button below. Make sure to comment your opinion on this series and what I can do to make it more interesting in the comment section below. And lastly, subscribe if you haven't already to stay tuned to this series and other series I got going on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.